Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and we are here with another narrated Pokemon battle. So this is a battle against Fireball. Looking at my opponent's team, the biggest threats are the Zygarde, I would say, and the Premorena. Premorena is a hard-hitting Pokemon, and it has pretty decent bulk as well. Of course, Charizard, if it gets set up, it could be a problem as well. But I'm going to lead off with my Sableye, as my opponent was going to lead off with the Zygarde. So I've been wanting to try out Mega Sableye. It has a cool ability, Magic Bounce, that bounces hazards and status moves back to the opponent. And I'm going to go ahead and Mega Evolve here. I don't know how likely it is that Zygarde has Stealth Rocks, but there's a chance, and I just want to have Sableye to Mega Evolve. And of course, that's going to give it some more defense, and I think that's really nice. And I'm just going to fire off the Will-O-Wisp. So I'm going to burn this thing, this physical attacker, and that's a really nice thing because now this thing's attack has been halved. It's now going to go for a Dragon Breath, which I guess that's there just for possible paralysis. And I'm just going to go knock off here. I'm going to get rid of this thing's item as it doesn't lose an item, so I'm thinking this is probably a Z move maybe? Or maybe it didn't have an item. I don't remember. But of course, it's not going to be doing much since it's burnt, and I'm just going to go for the Recover. So Sableye is really nice. It's got some health back, and I think it would be nice to keep Sableye at pretty high level of health. So I'm going to swap it out, go into Tangrowth. There's not much that this thing can even do to Tangrowth. This thing is Assault Vested, so even special attacks aren't going to be doing that much. And this thing's going to go for a Land's Wrath. That's not very effective on my Tangrowth. Tangrowth takes that because it's got beautiful defense, and now this thing's going to go for a Hyper Beam, so I'm guessing this might be like a mixed set, even though I think physical sets are a lot better on Zygarde. Here I'm just going to go Hidden Power Ice, finish off this Zygarde once and for all. It's going to be here for a while if I don't, and I just want to get rid of it. So now my opponent's going to bring in the Charizard, and I'm not too worried about Charizard because I do have Heatran. Heatran should be able to take everything this thing wants to go for. Of course, it could have Focus Blast, but of course, Focus Blast misses a lot. So now my opponent's going to go for the Fire Blast, and that's just going to boost Heatran's fire moves. I'm going to go Magma Storm. It's the only attack that I have that can hit Charizard, and it's going to have that Flash Fire boost. It's going to do some nice damage, but I noticed this Charizard still hasn't Mega Evolved, so I don't know if this is just a normal Charizard set, or if this is actually just a Mega Charizard set and he just hasn't Mega Evolved yet. But anyway, I'm going to finish off the Charizard with another Magma Storm. You see there, his Charizard went for a Dragon Rage. It's not going to do that much because Heatran has a wonderful amount of HP. And Dragon Rage is one of those fixed damage moves, so Heatran doesn't care that much for it. But Premorena is here, and this thing is the thing that I'm very scared of. Of course, I'm going to go into Tangrowth. This thing could have some ice moves, and that would hurt Tangrowth a lot. I don't think my opponent would risk that because I did have a Fire Steel type. But now this thing went for Hydro Pump, and we see that it's Life Orb, so that means this thing is not going to be locked into anything. And I was hoping that it would be locked into something, but yeah, it didn't do that much. And I'm going to go Giga Drain on the off chance my opponent decides to stay in and try to hit me with something like an ice move. But this Decidueye is going to come in, and I could just go for a knockoff. That's super effective on this thing, and I'm not sure exactly what this thing wants to go for. It's actually holding the power weight, so that makes me think maybe my opponent didn't bring the items that my opponent actually wanted to bring. This might have been, you know, some Pokemon that he was training and he forgot to take some items off of it. But it's going to go for Brave Bird, and it actually does a considerable amount to Tangrowth, but Tangrowth doesn't care because we do have the Regenerator ability. So now this thing's going to go for the Spirit Shackle, and I actually swap into my Sableye. Sableye does not care about these trapping moves because Sableye cannot be trapped since it is a Ghost type. So now we're going to take a Frenzy Plant, and that will actually take Sableye out. So that's kind of unfortunate, but that means I can bring anything in here since this thing went for a move that it has to recharge with. And I can take this thing out with whatever I want, and I'm just going to go for the Water Shuriken. I do have other moves that would have been super effective, but at 1 HP, I don't really mind. So now we're going to get the Ash Greninja here. So Ash Greninja is a wonderful Pokemon. It's a wonderful form for Greninja. Of course, Greninja was already a really good Pokemon, but now with an Ash form, it's that much better. Premorena comes in, and Premorena does not care about Greninja. Greninja could go for anything it wanted to. I'm going to go Heatran because Moonblast is a very, very safe move for my opponent there for that Greninja, and it wouldn't make sense for my opponent to go for Hydro Pump. And here I'm going to try to pivot because I know that this thing is a big threat. And I'm going to go into Tangrowth on the expected Hydro Pump, and seeing that my opponent swapped out earlier when Tangrowth was in here makes me think maybe this thing does not have an Ice-type move. So now my Tangrowth is on the field, and Premorena is not staying in on a Tangrowth. But my opponent's actually going to bring in Lycanroc, which is going to take a super effective hit from Giga Drain as well. But the Lycanroc, the Night form Lycanroc, has some decent bulk because it survived that. And now this thing is going to go for the Splintered Storm Shard, which is Lycanroc's signature Z move. It destroys the terrain that is on the field, and it also does a lot of damage. Of course, I'm going to flip this because the copyright thing that could catch it, if it's, the normal thing, the Pokemon Company has a weird thing about Z moves. If you show off a Z move, it can be copyright claimed, and the video will be pulled down. So that's why some of these Z moves I flip over if there's a chance that they could be claimed by the Pokemon Company. So I'm going to take that, and Tangrowth, with its wonderful defense, survives. And I'm going to fire off an Earthquake because that would have hit the Lucario super effectively if it came in. I didn't know if my opponent wanted to do some pivoting like that, but now the Lucario is in, and since Charizard did not Mega Evolve earlier, I'm wondering if this could be a Mega Lucario. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go into Greninja because, honestly, Greninja can't really do much at this point for us. The Premorena does not care about Greninja, and this thing can hit Greninja really hard as well. So I'm going to actually just sack off my Greninja. I still think Tangrowth is very important for the Premorena. So here we're just going to let Greninja go down. It didn't really do that much. Of course, it did take down the Decidueye, but that's because Decidueye was already at a low point of health. Now I'm going to go into my Moxie Krookodile. I have the Choice Scarf, and I'm just going to Earthquake, and that will take care of Lucario. Of course, Lucario could have Vacuum Wave, but my opponent didn't go for it. So I'm looking pretty good here. Krookodile is looking for a sweep. So now Premorena is going to come in. It's at a pretty high level of health, but I'm hoping that a +1 Earthquake will be able to take out this Premorena. Krookodile has pretty nice attack, and the Moxie plus Choice Scarf makes it a wonderful sweeper, and it takes out the Premorena. So, if you like this battle, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next Pokemon video.